I've grown 400,000 followers on Instagram in just 9 months. And that is largely due to the exact hacks and reasons that we're going to be speaking about in today's podcast episode. Because today, the Instagram expert, Brock Johnson, is joining us and giving us all of the greatest hacks as to how you can grow from 0 to 100 Instagram followers in the fastest way possible. And we talk about everything from Instagram hacks to grow, how you can turn followers into buyers, how you can get more engagement on your posts, and how you can double, triple, or quadruple your Instagram story posts. We also talk about the fear of judgment when it comes to starting to post and add value to the world, to the audience that you're trying to serve. And I can promise you that after listening to this podcast episode, you're going to walk away with some practical tools and strategies to grow, to add more value, and to reach a wider audience, the people who you want to serve. So without further ado, let's welcome Brock Johnson to my Challenge Your Norm podcast. Brock Johnson, I am so excited to have you here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast today. Yeah. You are the Instagram expert, and both I and my audience, I know, are so excited to learn from your expertise. I have been following you for a long time and gotten so much value out of your content, as I know millions of people all around the world have. So I'm excited to dive in today.
Of course, I appreciate all of that. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I'm excited to dive into all the things.
I wanted to play a little game to start.
Okay.
Because I have a mixed audience and people are in different stages. But if someone right now had to go from 0 to 100,000 followers on Instagram in the fastest way possible, what would be your best tips for them to crush it in that way?
Yeah, I think for them to go to 0 to 100K in the fastest way possible while doing it ethically, like we're not buying followers or anything like that, I'd say there's a few things. Number one, in terms of getting started, first and foremost, we have to identify the target audience that we're trying to attract. Because sure, there's 2 billion people on Instagram, but if you try to just create content that's appealing to all of them, you're going to really struggle. And it's going to not quite hit home for any one group. And so, especially if the goal is 100K, we have to know who we're trying to attract. So step one is like, let's really get clear on the demographics of the audience. And not just the demographics, but also what are we going to talk to that audience about? Maybe there's a problem we're helping them solve. Maybe there's a certain stage of life that we're kind of documenting and talking about that whole audience is also in. So step one is niche. Step two is just setting up our profile correctly. And that's something that takes a few minutes, right? It's not a big step, but it is a in-between step of making sure the bio is well written, making sure that our username and profile picture and all of that. And then it comes to posting. And so that's actually like where we're going to see results. That's actually where the growth is going to come from. In terms of what I would post to hit 100K the fastest, I would focus on all share-worthy content. So the kind of stuff that one person is going to send to another. That sort of stuff is the stuff that goes the most viral. That's what will help you grow the most. That's what will help you get in front of the right audience, so to speak. And we can get more into today, what exactly is share-worthy content? What does it look like? If everyone watching just takes a moment for themselves as they scroll, pick out the things that are share-worthy. Like, oh, hey, that's the thing I was about to send to my wife. Well, why was it share-worthy? Oh, hey, my buddy just sent me this. Why did they send you this? Like, what were the things in that post that made it so share-worthy? And then emulating that in your own content. And then the final thing I'll say is really focusing on quantity first. When people first get started, there's this big debate of quality versus quantity. And I'm a big fan and proponent of quantity breeds quality, and start with quantity. Then you can improve your quality over time. And then eventually you can get to the stage where you're doing both. You're pumping out high quality content and a lot of it. But when you're first getting started, focus on quantity first and just getting those reps in, and you'll fail way faster, but you'll also have success way faster.
I love that. Great tips.
Thanks.
How many times a day would you say, a week, a month? How many times would you say is good enough for people to make enough growth and get the lessons, make the failures and learn from them?
Yeah, I love that you said good enough, because usually people ask me all the time, I'm getting asked, how much should I post? And I know what's really being asked is, Like, what's the good enough? Like, what's the bare minimum that I can do to get by? And the reality is, Instagram specifically is in this really cool place right now where, on one hand, the more you post, the more you grow. So, what I would tell anyone watching, listening is if you want to grow at hyper ultra speed, then post a hyper ultra amount. Like, post multiple times a day, every single day, and you'll grow a lot faster. Posting twice a day, you'll grow faster than once a day. Posting once a day, you'll grow faster than if you only post a couple times a week. So you have to tailor your goals, or excuse me, tailor your strategies to meet your goals. Or we might have to adjust our strategies if they're just not realistic. Some people want to hit 1 million followers in a month, and that's just probably not realistic for most people. But if you do need a bare minimum, I think for most people, if you start with maybe like an every other day type of thing, like even just 3 or 4 a week, but then really challenging yourself to level that up. Challenging yourself to not necessarily work harder, but work smarter. Find ways to not be so perfectionist with all of your posts. Find ways to rip the Band-Aid off. Find ways to create more posts with less work. I'm a big fan of, if you only have an hour to create content, rather than spending that hour on just one post that's like the perfect post that you're editing and refining and scripting, instead spend 80% of the time, so whatever, 40 something minutes of that hour, spend it on making as many posts as possible. Like the low effort posts, the low hanging fruit, because I think that you'll learn a lot more from those rather than just trying to make like one perfect post.
I love that. And I was going to ask you, because a lot of people, they have busy lives and potentially a job on the side, and they also want to grow this Instagram account, whether it's for their personal brand or like a business they're starting.
Yeah.
If they have, let's say, 1 hour twice a week.
Yeah.
What would you advise them to do in those 2 hours?
Yeah, I love that amount because I think that that's like the perfect amount when you're first getting started. I think long term, especially once you kind of have systems in place, you don't need 2 hours a week. But when you're first getting started, I think that 2 hours a week is a good sweet spot to fall into. If you have more time, great. But like a good 2 hours a week is fine. And I think 2 hours a week is very doable for most people. I mean, 1 hour is 3% of your day. So 2 hours in a whole week, we're talking like 0.05% of your week, right? So it's a very small amount of time. But I would say during that time, first and foremost, we have to retrain how we consume content. So even outside of those 2 hours, you're probably watching content. If I talk to people and they're like, Brock, I only have 15 minutes a week to make posts. My guess is you're spending more than 15 minutes a week just on Instagram or on TikTok or on YouTube. So the first thing I would say is change the way you approach consuming content, and it will change the way that you approach creating content. And what I mean by that is rather than just passively scrolling, which don't get me wrong, there's a time and place. It's usually like after bed or after dinner, you're laying in bed, you're like about to fall asleep and you're just going to scroll for a little bit. That's fine. But most of the time when you're scrolling, train yourself to be in the habit of picking out why things were successful. Success leaves clues. And so as you're scrolling, hey, why did I stop on this video? Sure, haha, I laughed, it's funny, but what made it funny? Why did it connect with me? What did the person do? What did they not do? And you can really analyze so much in just one little video. What was their pace? What was their speaking pattern like? What was their editing like? Was it super highly polished or was it super raw and authentic? Why did I engage? They told me to save, but I didn't save. I liked it. Or I saved before they even told me to save. And like, there's so much that you can pull from just one post, not even to mention ideas, which I'm a huge fan of getting ideas and inspiration from everywhere around you. The one exception is I would encourage everyone listening, stop getting so many ideas from within your own niche. I think that too many fitness creators get other ideas from other fitness creators. Too many Instagram coaches like me get other ideas from other Instagram coaches. So then you just kind of become this echo chamber where you're just copying someone who does exactly what you do. Instead, I love to get my ideas as an Instagram guy, to get my ideas from fitness people, or to get my ideas from real estate agents, or to get my ideas from all these other areas that have nothing to do with Instagram, but it's still a creative idea. It's still funny. And then I can put my own spin on it and make it original, make it my own, but it's still inspired by someone else. So I know this is a long answer, but if you have 2 hours a week, use the other hours that you actually have, that you're actually scrolling, to be getting ideas, inspiration, and to be learning. And then during those 2 hours, I think spend, like I said, 80% of your time on the low-hanging fruit, the easy posts, the posts that are easy to make, the posts that are easy to whip up. And then in the remaining 20%, you can focus on the posts that take a little bit more time, energy, and effort. And then ultimately, you got to just press post and rip off that Band-Aid. Because I bet, have you ever had a post that you were like, oh, this is going to do well, like this is going to go viral?
All the time.
Yeah. And then you post it and it like flops.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Same.
Years and years of that.
Yes. And then also the reverse has probably happened where you're like, I didn't even think about posting that. Or
the easiest thing ever. That took me
5 seconds. Yeah. I didn't even think about it. Or like I have things where I'll make it and then I'll schedule it and then I'll forget that I even made it and schedule it. You could show it to me and I'm like, I didn't make that. That was a month ago I made that. But it did really well, right? And I think that's true for every single content creator out there. And so if we're all really bad judges of our content, stop judging your own content and let the audience be the judge by actually posting it.
Amazing. And I will say to anyone listening, it does work with the analyzing of the content. It took me 5 years to get to 200,000 followers. And then in the last, after I started actually taking the time to, when I'm scrolling, like analyzing from different niches, is exactly like you're saying, then I grew for 400,000 in 9 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you just do a little bit of that work and then apply and just post, like you're saying, it's amazing. Yeah. It really works. That's awesome. I want to ask you about trial reels.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel there's a few different ways that I can answer that question. First of all, for anyone watching who doesn't quite know what a trial reel is, a trial reel is a kind of reel. Instagram released it in like December of 2024. And what they said is this is a kind of reel that you can use to experiment or to trial your reels. It's a way to post your reels and not feel so much pressure. That was their intention. And the way that they were going to do that was they were going to show these reels to only non-followers. So then it's like, hey, it's no pressure. Your followers, your friends and family, they're not going to see it. Just random strangers who you don't care about, they're going to see it, right? But what we immediately realized as marketers is, oh my gosh, I now have a kind of reel that on one hand won't spam my followers. Like I could post 7,000, this is hypothetical, I could post 7,000 of them in a day and my followers would see 0. So they're not going to feel overwhelmed, they're not going to feel spammed. But every trial reel that I post is an opportunity to reach a new person. And so even if it gets 300 views, that's 300 views from new people, 300 views from people who have never seen you before. So what I've been telling people from day one is that you should use and abuse and spam trial reels. Like you should post as many as you flippin' can. Then what usually people say is, how am I going to post that many trial reels? Like, I recently, and we'll get to this, but Instagram lowered the limit of how many you could post in a day. We'll get to that. But when I made the announcement that they lowered the limit, people were like, how are people surpassing the limit? And what I will say is because they're not creating, let's say it was 40. You're not creating 40 new reels to post as trial reels. You're taking all of your best reels from the past and you're recycling them. You're posting them again as a trial reel. Well, as soon as it came out, I told people use it and abuse it because I knew it was too good to be true. I knew that Instagram would eventually figure out that we got to turn this off because it's becoming too spammable, so to speak. And so Instagram lowered the limits. I've got in contact with some people who work at Instagram and there's not a universal limit. So some people can post 25 a day. Some people can actually even post more, but most people can't. Most people are either capped at 25 a day, or some people are even capped as low as 5 a day. And then for some people, if you surpass that limit, it restricts you and you can't post anymore for the next 24 hours. But then for some people, you can't post anymore for the next 30 days. Fortunately, even if you do get restricted, it's not going to affect your account in any way. It's just you can't post any more trial reels for that day or that month. But so now all this to say, what I'm telling most people is the new limit is 5, post 5 a day. Especially because 5 is a much more doable number than when it used to be unlimited or 25. Take your 5 best reels and just post them every single day over and over again as a trial reel. And sure, you can make slight modifications, you can vary it. You can use the feature as it was intended if you want to test out 2 different hooks or test out some different stuff. But I'm a big fan of trial reels. I've been telling people use them and abuse them before they go away. And now they're Instagram's starting to reel them back in. So yeah, I know not everyone quite has access to them yet. I still get messages every day from people who still don't even have trial reels, which sucks.
Interesting. So Instagram's different for every.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think like there are some features that Instagram really prioritize when they release. But you know, I remember when Reels first came out in 2020, there were people messaging me in 2021 who still didn't have Reels, which is crazy to think about. Like people didn't have that, like such a basic fundamental feature on Instagram. A lot of people didn't have Reels. The problem is that there's 2 billion Instagram users. We're all on different phones. We're all on different devices. We're in different countries with different regulations, and we're on different softwares. Like I haven't updated my phone yet, but my wife has. So like we're on different software. So anyways, this is a long way of making an excuse for Instagram that basically there's bugs, there's glitches, and so not everyone has every feature. But if you have trial reels, 5 a day is what I would recommend.
And you do 5 a day.
I try to, yeah. I've gone through waves where sometimes I'm not always so great at following my own advice, but there are definitely times where I've been way more consistent. I try to do 5 a day.
And I heard you say this a while ago, so I started doing 5 a day too, and it's been working. Like some of the reels, they end up getting millions of views, and it's like,
why not?
Yeah, because
right?
it's a past post that I already had posted in the past.
Doesn't take any time or work.
No.
Right? And like, you know, I would guess when you're posting them, most of them don't get a ton of views.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the few. It's the few.
It's the few. Like I'll get messages from people who hear this strategy and they'll say, I did it. I posted a couple and they didn't do very well. And I say, well, you only posted a couple. It's like going to the gym saying, oh, I went to the gym a couple of times and I didn't see results. Well, of course not. Like keep going, keep showing up. And then it's the exception, right? It's the 1 in 10 or the 1 in 20 that pops off and goes viral. But if it doesn't take you very much time or work, you might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get back to talking about more growth and stories and different Instagram hacks that you use.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious. You're here with your wife today, which I love that. And you now today are successful and help people grow their Instagrams and other social media in general. But in the early beginnings, a lot of my audience speak about being nervous of what people are going to think of them when they start posting and like not feeling they're good enough yet.
Yeah.
Because they haven't made it. So who are they to, and this is something I can relate to too, because that's how I felt in the beginning too. It's like, who am I to share for me fitness content when I, you know, am not as advanced yet as other fitness coaches? For you in the beginning, did you start off being an Instagram expert or how did the early beginnings kind of?
Yeah. So when I was born, there was like a phone in my hand and it was open to Instagram. No, when I very much organically became an Instagram coach. So I got started originally, really my business was born out of like, I don't want to say desperation, but necessity. My freshman year of college, I wanted to be able to provide for myself, very similar to how I'm sure a lot of your listeners want to provide for themselves or their families or whatever. And I just wanted to take care of my friends and be able to like pay for my own groceries and that sort of thing. And so I started an online course. And back then, my online course was teaching moms how to keep their teens safe on Snapchat. So totally different than what I'm doing today. And I wasn't a parent, right? I don't have kids. So like I was not qualified to give parenting advice. So instead I approached that and it was kind of, you know, getting thrown into the deep end and you have to learn to swim situation. But the way I gave myself confidence in that world was I kind of just thought, well, I might not be a parent. I might not have kids. I might not be able to give you parenting advice, but I am a kid. And I do know how we kids use social media. And I knew how we use Snapchat. And so I kind of just approached it as I'm not an expert, but I'm one step ahead. And that's what we have to recognize is, you know, just like we're all in this world where we're now creators and we're making content, we're business owners, we're also consumers, right? And so many of us turn to people who are just like us. And we're looking for people who are just like us to learn from, you know, like, sure, I might follow a few experts, but I'm also following people who are just a step ahead of me, you know, and I think that it's important to recognize a lot of people, if not the majority of people, would prefer to learn from someone they can relate to and someone who's like one step ahead and someone who's not perfect and who isn't like the certified expert. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a good Huberman Lab podcast. Like, that's great. You know, be an expert, be a doctor. But also I like getting advice from real people, I like getting advice from people who are like, hey, you don't have to be crazy about this. It's not black and white. And so that's how I started my first business. And I think that gave me confidence to, as I moved into Instagram, when I first got started in Instagram coaching, I wasn't helping you with all things Instagram. It was just Instagram stories because that's what I knew from Snapchat. With Snapchat, I knew Snapchat stories. So when I got started on Instagram, I wasn't telling people I'm going to help you make more sales. I wasn't telling people I'm going to help you go viral. I wasn't telling people I'm going to help you grow. It was literally just, I'll help you figure out Instagram stories because that's what I had figured out. And so I was just one step ahead. And then it's kind of grown organically from there. But I think starting from a place of, I'm not going to be the expert. I'm just going to use my experience and be one step ahead and help the people who are one step behind me. I think that's a good way to approach it.
Yes, I love that. You're always going to have value to offer.
Yeah.
The people who are one step behind you are where you were a year ago.
Yeah.
So that's such a great mindset to have for anyone who's afraid of getting started. It's just step by step. You're going to learn and grow, but start with what you are skilled within.
Yeah. But it's going to be uncomfortable early on, and it's going to feel unnatural because you've never done the thing before. You've never filmed yourself on camera. You've never heard your voice on camera. You've never done those things. So it's foreign. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel funky at first. I mean, what when you were first getting started gave you the confidence to start showing up and creating fitness content? And
I wanted to do it for a long time. And at one point I had to ask myself, am I willing to stay stuck because I'm so afraid of what people are going to think of me? Or am I willing to look like potentially the biggest fool on earth? At least that's what I felt like.
Yeah.
But potentially help someone in the way that I needed to be helped when I first started out. And at one point I was like, I need to just go for it and be willing to look like a fool.
Yeah.
And, others, they don't really care.
Yeah, they don't.
We think it's such a big deal, but others may think of it for 2 seconds and then move on. And then the people who you actually can help and that want the value that you have to offer are going to be excited about it. And they're going to want to learn from you. So the other people who you're afraid of their judgment, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I make typos in my posts all the time, because I'm so focused on like, okay, I'm just going to make it. I'm going to post it. I'm going to put it out that there's probably going to be a typo. I don't care. I'm able to make, if you extrapolate my 7 years of creating content now, I've been able to create so many more posts because I'm not over analyzing every single post. And some people listening might be like, spell checking isn't over analyzing. For me, it is. Even taking the time to like check my perfect spelling, make sure every letter's in the right spot. For me, that's an amount of over analyzing that I'm not willing to do. I'm just going to press post. But to your point, there might be 10 mistakes in my post and 99% of people aren't going to see any of them. And there's going to be like 1% or 5% of people who are going to catch one of the 10 mistakes. And then of that, who even catch it, how many are going to be like, you made this mistake, there's this typo. Most of them don't care. They're like, whatever. I'm so focused on the value that I don't care if there's a spelling error. I don't care if there's a messy background. I don't care if there's a hair out of place. I don't care if there's a sweat stain on your shirt. They don't care. And then there is like that 1% of the 1% who are going to comment. Great. Cool. They left a comment. Oh, it's actually the wrong form of that word. Who cares? Like, thank you for the comment. Thank you for the engagement. I'm glad that you made your third grade teacher happy because you know how to spell that word. But like,
and it makes you human. And I feel like any content that people can relate to. Yeah. Like I'm not good with like, sometimes I'll forget my hair is out of place or I put makeup in the wrong, like I'm not very good at that. And sometimes that 1% of the 1% will comment. But I think for the other people, it's like, oh, she also looks like that or whatever, because it's honest. Speaking about typos and captions, we could lead into ManyChat. That's something I've seen a lot of growth from applying. And I know that's something you use as well.
Yeah. So ManyChat is one of those things that I've been talking about since 2020. And
2020?
Yeah.
I didn't get on it till last year, like end of last year, 2020, in December.
Yeah, I remember in 2020 first hearing about it. And I thought, this is too good to be true. This sounds like a scam. This sounds like something that's going to get my Instagram disabled. And so back then, I got on a call with ManyChat's CEO, which now they have over 1 million users, which like I'm jumping ahead here, but you want to talk about safe and secure. 1 million people use ManyChat. It's not like this little rinky dink company that's sketchy. over 1 million people use it. They're a massive company. They're international. They have thousands of employees, maybe not thousands, but at least hundreds of employees. This was back in their early days. They, probably only had less than 20 people on the team at this time. I got on a call with their CEO and he explained it all to me. He said, we are official partners with Meta, which is rare. Most platforms, even like Later is a scheduling platform that's really popular. Later, to best of my knowledge, is not a partner of Meta. They're approved, meaning that they can access Meta's technology, they can access and schedule posts on Instagram. Like they're okay basically, but they're not partnered. It's not like they're side by side with Meta. ManyChat is, which means they're even a step above in terms of clearance. They have bi-weekly calls with Instagram and Meta staff to like make sure that they're doing everything right, that they're not going to get you in trouble. I had a conversation with the head of Instagram earlier this year in April, and I asked him about it. I said, can we use DM automation? And he said, yeah, as long as it's through an approved partner, you're good to go. I spent all this time talking about that it's approved. I haven't even said what it is. So for anyone watching or listening, I'm sure they've seen you do it. I'm sure they've seen other people do it. That thing where creators say, comment the word blank and I'll send you blank. Comment the word guide, I'll send you my free workout guide. Comment the word discount and I'll send you my discount code. That's how it starts. Then when people comment that one specific word, they are automatically sent a direct message. That's the automation part of DM automation. They're automatically sent that direct message and you have 100% control. So you can choose what the keyword is. You can choose what they're sent. You can get really fancy and intricate with it and have like follow-ups and automations and tags and all this stuff. You can also have it really simple so that one person says one word and they get the response. But the reason this is so effective is it significantly increases your views. It significantly increases your sales. It significantly increases your engagement. And it does all of that because it is a direct opposite of how people usually sell on Instagram. Which how people usually sell is they say, click the link in my bio. So now we have two audiences, right? Half the people who saw it, whatever, they're not interested. They don't want to click the link. That's fine. They're not interested. Those people always exist. But then the other half are the people who are interested. Now, what are they going to do? They're going to not engage with your post. They're going to go to your profile. They're going to find a link that's probably a link menu, like a link tree or a stand store. You got multiple options. Then they got to remember, oh yeah, she was talking about the workout guide, but now I'm seeing there's a workout guide, there's an ab guide, there's a this guide, there's like 3 different guides. So which one was it? Now they're confused. Even if everything goes well, they didn't engage with your post. So now the algorithm is seeing the people who want to purchase your thing, the people who want to download it, whatever, and the people who don't. Neither one of them is engaging with the post. So the post isn't going to be shown to anyone. And that's why people are like, Instagram is shadow banning me. Instagram doesn't want me to sell on Instagram. They do. Instagram wants you to make money on Instagram. But when people are not engaging with your post because you told them not to, because you told them to click the link, of course your post isn't going to get engagement. It's not going to get shown to people. So instead, you tell people to comment the keyword. Now your post is getting a bunch of comments, which means it's getting a bunch of engagement, which means it'll be shown to more people, which means more people will comment. And the people don't have to go hunting for that link. It's just being sent to them instantly right there in the direct messages. So I know you can speak to your own personal use case and how powerful it is. But when I first found out about this in 2020, I was like, oh my God, this is a game changer. Everyone needs to get on this. And it's one of those things that for the last 5 years, almost 6 years now, I haven't shut up about. And I'm going to keep talking about it. And I just think like every single business owner, I mean, I've started to see that even really big businesses like, I've seen people using like Hollywood movie companies are using it to like promote their new films. I saw Will Smith was using DM automation recently to promote his new song, which is a horrible song, but he used DM automation to get more people to listen to it, And so it's cool to start to see that everyone big and small is starting to really use this feature and take advantage of it.
It's so powerful. When I started doing that, giving away free recipes or journals or workout things, hacks, things that they can use, the engagement on my post. And it's like, as a coach, I want to add value. Yeah. But it was so hard before to, like you were saying, the link in bio was so hard. But now being able to just send it to them directly. Yeah. And then if they want more, then they can become part of my community. Exactly. And I know a lot of business owners use it to give something free and then they can buy if they want more. For business owners, let's say they have a platform, but it's very hard for them to get followers turn into to buyers or people that engage in their whatever they have to offer.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, use DM automation. Like I'm glad we already talked about that.
Yeah.
That's a big change in strategy. If you use that, you're going to see better results, even if you change nothing else. Second thing that I would say is I love what you were just describing of the free lead magnet or the free offer type of thing. Because the reality is most people are going to want a free thing. They're going to just like, yeah, I'll sign up for the free thing or an inexpensive thing. It's $5, it's $7, whatever. They'll want that. But then you have them as a lead, right? They're not just anyone on Instagram or anyone who follows you. There's someone who follows you who specifically was interested in this topic. And then those people are likely going to benefit from your free thing. I'm a big fan of making your free things as good as they possibly can be so that they over deliver. So that people are like, I learned more from your free thing than I did someone else's paid thing, right? But then that really builds that trust. And so when they're ready to have their problem solved in a more direct way, or they're ready to have their problem solved in a more sequential way, we're going to tell them step by step. It's not just like, here's 17 workout ideas. It's like, here's the actual workout plan, right? That paid next step is what they're going to be ready for. But I think getting them onto your email list, first and foremost, using free lead magnets or freebies, free downloads is a really effective strategy. Another thing that I already said the word, but trust is huge, right? Especially after the last 4 or 5 years, everyone's like, who can I trust? Who can I get my information from? It doesn't matter if you're in sewing or marketing or fitness or whatever. Everyone's like, I just want someone who I can trust. Someone who is not going to give me BS information. They're going to tell me, what I need to hear. And so building that trust is something that takes time. It takes consistency. It takes showing up over and over and over again, being good for it, as they say, which is like, if people follow you for fitness content, are you consistently posting about fitness content? Are you good for it? Are you going to be posting stuff that is valuable and helpful and educational and entertaining? Or is it kind of like a personal thing where here's my date night and here's me going out to dinner with my kids, or here's my vacation where it's kind of all about you? It's like, well, you're not good for it anymore. You're not actually giving me value. You're just stroking your own ego. But trust takes time to be built. And then ultimately, the final thing I'll say is your Instagram stories can be a really powerful tool for building that trust. They can be a really powerful tool for showing people the things that are not niche related, the things that are, here's my vacation, here's my out to dinner with my kids, here's my whatever, because then they can get to know you on a more intimate, personal level. And that can oftentimes help you convert more sales as well.
Incredible. I really had to learn to detach my feelings from the content I create. Of like, I am on my Instagram, a source of wanting to give value within my niche, within what I know my audience wants. Where before I wanted to show it all. I wanted to give them value, but I also wanted to show, like you're saying, my personal life in different ways. And it's wild how much it's helped to really detach my personal emotions towards it, and that you can then use it on stories. That's a really good way to then get both.
I think that's like one of the real strong suits of Instagram, because on TikTok, there's not really that. On TikTok, people want you to stay in your niche. And that's why we follow people, right?
Yeah.
We see a great post. Oh, great. That's a great fitness tip. We click on your page and then we scroll through and we're like, oh, okay, she's got some other great tips. Okay, I'm going to follow her. But if we go to your page and we see a bunch of things about all your interests and passions, we're like, oh, okay, that was one good post, but she's not good for it. I'm not going to follow her. And on YouTube, it's the same. On podcast, it's the same. Like, people follow you for the niche. On Instagram, people follow you for the niche. But the cool thing about Instagram is then there's Instagram stories, which is unlike any other platform. You can go to Instagram stories and oftentimes you don't even want them to stay in their lane. You want people to be themselves and post about all these interests and passions and hobbies. And, you want to see those little sneak previews into their lives. And that's really only possible with Instagram stories. And so I know so many people struggle with niche and they struggle with sticking to one topic. Stick to the one topic on your feed, but let your freak flag fly on your stories. Like, post it all on your stories.
When it comes to how much time to spend on stories versus the content you post on your page, it's only there for 24 hours. So how much time and effort should you actually put into that versus the content you post on your wall?
You should spend as close to 0 time creating stories as you can. So stories are meant to be documentary. With stories, I say focus on documentation over creation. Focus on documentation over curation. There might be a specific day where you have like a launch, and on that day, you're going to be more strategic with your stories. You're going to be more thoughtful about what you're posting on your stories. Maybe you have a launch coming up of a product or a sale. And so in the lead up to that story, in the lead up to that day, I should say, you're going to post some stories that are kind of, introducing the product, introducing the problem that you're going to solve, just talking about background a little bit. But for most of the time, like let's say 80% of your days as a personal brand on your stories, just document, like just quick. Like, as we showed up today, you were like, oh, hey, I saw that you just went and got donuts. Yeah, because I grabbed a box of donuts and I'm like, these are my favorite. So I took a picture and I posted on my story, like super quick. I didn't think about it. I think I wrote some words, but I didn't like graphic design it. I didn't make it intricate. Stories are meant to be super quick and in the moment. So they shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Awesome. That like very real, raw, I feel is coming more and more and more back to Instagram as well. What would you say is the best way to capture that? Is that to also when you're creating reels to just, I saw you in the car the other day. There was a new announcement on Instagram. Yeah. We should talk about that too, sure. Actually. Yeah. You were like, I just filmed this at the gas station because I needed to share it with you. Is that something you would advise people to do when you have a thought to just do it on the spot? Yeah. Or what's your...
So I've been thinking about this a lot recently where, if there's like a spectrum of content creation, on one end we have like super raw, super authentic, super in the moment, zero editing, zero cuts, zero mic, zero lighting. Just I filmed on my phone and I posted it. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have like Hollywood level cinematography, professional editing, camera quality, mic, storytelling, all this stuff. And I think that the extremes are getting farther apart, as in like the best content is getting even better and the raw content is getting even more raw and unpolished. And what's happening is everything that's in between is performing so much worse. Whereas it used to be like a little dip where like the best stuff performed well, the stuff that was super raw performed well, but then the stuff in the middle did okay. Now it's like the stuff in the middle where it's like I did a little bit of editing, I did a little bit of overthinking, I did a little bit of tweaking and scripting, I did a little bit, is just flopping so hard because people either give me something that is so pretty and so well thought out and planned and professional that it's that good that it's willing to hold my attention, or on the other end of the spectrum, give me something that is so real that I know it wasn't edited, it wasn't scripted, it wasn't pre-written. And so like in that example was Instagram released reposts. It's a feature they've been working on for a while. We've been asking for it forever. And Instagram, we were actually driving out here to California from Utah. And Instagram posted, or a bunch of people posted, their CEO and stuff posted, reposts are now live on Instagram. And I was at the gas station and I was like, I need to report on this because this is my job. Like I can't let this day go by. And so while I was filling up gas, in the time that it took for me to, start the gas and then sit in the car in the driver's seat, I just recorded it. I did it in one take. I think I did it in just like one clip. I don't even think there were any cuts. I just talked and I was like, here's what we know. Here's the feature. Here's how to use it. And then at the end, I was like, by the way, sorry, I was at a gas station, whatever. Posted it. And that was by far my best post of the week. I think it was my best post of the month. And that's compared to stuff that's like edited by my professional editor, which she's awesome. I love her, but this is raw. It's real. It's imperfect. It's in the moment.
Yeah.
People connect with it so much more.
Yeah. It's what we were talking about in the beginning of the episode of like, sometimes it's just the quick content that performs better. Yeah. I love that. It's a great reminder for me. And I know for everyone
we all need
listening.
To hear it. I need to hear it.
Yeah. That it doesn't have to be perfect. When it comes to stories, I heard you talk about something that I've seen in my stories as well, of like when you don't have anything posted on your story and then you post a single story. Yeah. The views is often double, triple, quadruple than if you post 4 stories at once.
Yes.
You have a little bit of a strategy when it comes to that. Yes, are you willing to share?
Sure, yeah, of course. So this is what I call my STD strategy. And it's named that because now people aren't going to forget it. Like they're going to remember the STD strategy. So you already said the S, which is single. But even before the single story that you're posting, make sure all of your other stories expire. So for anyone watching who's like, well, good, I didn't post any stories today or yesterday anyways, or good, I forgot about stories anyways. Great. I often say when you accidentally forget that you didn't post any stories for the last couple of days, great. You're off to a good start. Then you post an S, a single Instagram story. So you're not posting multiple, just one single story. The T is text heavy. So that single story that you're posting, it's not a talking story. It's not a video story. It is just a still image, like a photo with lots of text. I used to recommend having just like a solid color background, just like black background and write some white text on it. Now, I think it's a little bit better if there's a human face in it. We've done some testing and it seems like it's going to perform usually a little bit better for most people if their face is in it. So I usually just like angle my phone so my face is like down in the corner. So that most of the screen is just like solid color, the ceiling, the wall, and I'm just kind of like down in the corner, and I'll like make a face that imitates the emotion of the story. So if the text that I'm about to write is about like how frustrated I am, I'll make an angry face. If it's about how happy I am, I'll make an excited face. Take that photo and then write a bunch of text. And when I say a bunch of text, I'm meaning like paragraphs, like lots of text. Make the font size real small, write lots of text. And to pause real quick and say the strategy, the reason why is because there's a lot of text, people hold their finger down and they pause the story, so they have to read it, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas if you were to take that exact same text and you were to say it, you were to like record a video of yourself saying it, what happens is there's no way for me to fast forward you. There's no way for me to rewind you. If I was like, wait, what did she say? I'm going to just skip your story. Because if I missed it, I'm not going to go back and rewatch the whole thing, right? I can't pause. I can't fast forward. I can't rewind. It sucks. When you watch a talking head video, we're all like, okay, get to the point, So text instead of talking head, text. And then the D is what we've already talked about, which I'm glad we've already talked about it, DM automation. So at the end of that story, then this is really the key part, is you need people to get responding. It's not enough to just have them holding down and reading your story. You need them to interact, and the best form of interaction is that DM. And the easiest way to get a DM is not reply to this story if you have any questions, because that's super vague, right? Now I'm putting work on the audience. They have to come up with their question. They have to think. Instead, I'm just like, reply with the word hashtag if you want a free guide to hashtags. Now everyone knows, okay, I just need to type one word. But the algorithm sees DMs and DMs and DMs, plus people are pausing to read. And so they boost your story up and they show it to way more people. So it's, very powerful.
Great tips.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. I'm so curious. You probably started off working by yourself in your business.
Yeah.
Now your wife is on your team. You have an editor you mentioned.
Yeah.
Is it the three of you, or do you have more on your team?
Yeah, there's more. So I will say one of the and I'm so proud, if you were to ask me like, what am I most proud of in my early days? I was proud of myself for hiring help before I felt ready. Because I think most people are like, I'll hire someone when I feel ready to. But you never really feel ready to. You feel, oh my gosh, I need someone to help me with this because I'm in over my head and I'm drowning, right? It's like, I don't need someone. Oh my gosh, I need someone. I'm drowning. Hire the swimming.
That was me.
Yeah. That's most people.
Yeah.
That's most people watching. Most people are, I just thought of an analogy, and this is a quote I'm going to say all the time from now on. Hire a swimming coach rather than a lifeguard. Like hire someone who's going to help you before you're drowning.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to remember that because I should say that quote from now on.
That's really good. Did you just come up with it now?
I just came up with that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
I was like drowning.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. That's so good.
So I was really proud that I hired help early on. I hired an assistant who I didn't even know what to tell her to do. I had heard from so many other business coaches that like the right thing to do is to hire help. So I hired someone and I was like, I hardly know what to tell you to do. But I gave her a few things to start helping me with. And it was crazy to see within that first month after hiring her, we did double the revenue as the 6 months before we hired her. And it wasn't necessarily because, no disrespect to her, it wasn't necessarily because she revolutionized the business, but it was now I didn't have to do so many little tasks. Now I had someone else to be responsible for. Like it wasn't just me that I wanted to take care of. I had to pay my bills so that I could provide for her and pay her salary. And so we've really grown since then. I think on On my immediate team, I have like 5 people. So I have like obviously my wife, she's like our CFO, she does all the back end. I have an editor, I have an assistant, and then I have a community manager who helps respond to comments and direct messages, that sort of thing. And then we have our business, the Insta Club Hub, and that is probably 25 to 30 people are on that team. We have like 4 customer service agents. We have a internal director of operations. She's like the program director. We have someone who does media buying, which is like paid marketing, advertising, that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, we have copywriter, we have graphic designers. So we have like 25 people on that team, but that's also a much bigger business, right? So that's a business that we have like 6,000 active members. And so in order to keep them all happy, in order to make my crazy ideas come true, we had to, grow the team to that size. But it takes time.
That's incredible what you've built.
Thanks.
Huge congratulations with all of it.
Thanks.
And for the listener who wants to learn more from you, that's a way to learn from you.
Yeah.
Share.
I was going to say the best way to learn, I got a DM today that was like, someone was asking about the business and they were like, I just want free tips. And I was like, okay, then follow me. Like, if you want free tips and free advice, I have a YouTube, I have a podcast, I have Instagram. So like, I'm constantly putting out free tips. And
you really are.
Thank you.
Every single day there's value in your posts. So everyone, I'm sure most people already follow you, but if you don't, you gotta follow Brock. And what's your handle? How
Brock
can they?
Levin Johnson. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. On
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything, Brock Levin Johnson. Yeah. Sometimes I'll like look at what I have planned to post in a day. And if I see it's like 2 funny things and like 1 motivational thing, I'll be like, there's not a tip today. Like there's not any education. So I tried something I probably need to get over, but I always try to have like 1 educational tip every day. And then our business is called the Insta Club Hub. And so that's like our Instagram membership where we coach people and we give content calendars and monthly live trainings about all things growing a business on Instagram.
Incredible. And I know people get results when they join.
Yeah.
So everyone who's interested in learning more from you, first of all, go follow Brock and join his community if you want to learn more. But my podcast is called Challenge Your Norm Podcast. So I have one final question for you that I ask every guest. If you were, whatever first thing that comes to you, challenge the listener, challenge their norm in order to, in this case, it could be grow within Instagram or whatever comes to you.
Yeah.
How would you challenge them?
Yeah. I love this question. And I love the name of the podcast in general. I think that, most people are overthinking. Most people are overanalyzing, over-editing. And we've talked about this a fair amount today. And what I think is going on is that we imagine that there's a spectrum where on one end we have underthinking, like, hey, there's typos, there's mistakes. I should think about this and edit it more, like really raw content. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have overthinking. And most people would agree, like, I don't want to overthink. I feel so much paralysis. I'm paralyzed by overthinking. I hear it every single day. I don't want to be an overthinker. In my opinion, overthinking leads to burnout more than overposting. I think that trying to make perfect posts, trying to make high quality, slam dunk, touchdown, home run posts every time, that leads to burnout way more than just posting more. Because if I told you, hey, I don't care what they are, I just need you to post 10 times a day on Instagram, but I literally don't care, you would say, well, that's no problem. I'll just post 10 random things from my camera roll. But as soon as you start thinking about quality and making it, fit all these boxes, you start overthinking it, and that's what leads to burnout. But anyways, back to the spectrum. Underthinking and overthinking. Most people are trying to find this like perfect sweet spot where they think about something a perfect amount. They're like, I edited it for X amount of time. I spent this much time thinking about it, this much time scripting it. They try to find that perfect sweet spot of thinking about it, but that doesn't exist. And so they always end up overthinking it. And this is most things in life. They end up overthinking it, overanalyzing it. When I think that one of my superpowers, and the cool thing about it is that it's a superpower that can be learned, is underthinking. Like, rip that Band-Aid off and train yourself to look at each post as a data point, something to learn from, an opportunity to grow. But ultimately, err on the side of underthinking. Like, get an accountability partner, have a loved one, whatever you got to do to actually make that happen. but just lean into the raw, the real, the imperfect stuff. You'll have way more fun. You'll create way more content. You'll serve way more people. You'll get way better, and you'll end up with way better quality content way faster. So just rip that Band-Aid off and really lean into the underthinking.
Such good advice. The people who fail the most, they also succeed the most, right?
Absolutely.
So, I love it. Thank you so much for all of the value that you shared with us today. I'm so grateful. You came on here and shared it all with us.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me. I
and
appreciate
for continuously sharing with all of us whenever there's new updates and everything that you learn on the journey.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's Challenge Your Norm podcast with Brock Johnson. Oh my goodness, I hope you are fired up. I for sure am. And I'm going to be applying these tools and practices starting today, as I hope you do. If you found this podcast episode valuable, the way that we can grow this podcast is if you share it with a friend who you know is going to find it valuable as well. And subscribe so that you never miss another episode. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm.